Wisconsin, where spirit and earth meet together as one, united being. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Peripheral Consciousness, and thank you for sharing your time with me. On this episode, I will be discussing fate and what it represents to spirit. Later in the episode, I will be allowing a spirit message performed by one of my spirit guides, delivered by way of spirit-controlled speech. Like everything in this physical plane, fate can mean different things to every incarnated individual. To some, it might mean a way of understanding life itself, to be in control of your current life experience. To others, it might mean just the ending of your current life experience, to be already decided by a more powerful source. Your current physical plane reality is what you make it while incarnate. The way your current physical plane experience ends can only be one way. So the question is, are we in control of our current physical plane life ending? Or is our ending already decided? Are we able to make the ultimate mistake while incarnate? Are we able to make mistakes at all? Ultimately, no. And it depends on if you consider a mistake to be an action of wrongdoing or just an action of unintentional thought. What is a mistake? Every action is a product of a reaction, and you are in control of your reactions. So, a mistake is a thought reaction. Ultimately, you are in control of whether a mistake exists at all. Others may presume it to be a mistake of thought, but ultimately, it is your say in the matter that affects you the most. We learn best from our so-called mistakes. So how can one be blamed or punished for the experience of learning? Because our so-called mistakes can result in ours and others' suffering. Suffering is and always will be a part of this physical plane experience. It's part of why we all chose to incarnate here. So if we don't accept our mistakes to be a mistake of thought, but to accept our so-called mistakes to be an action of this physical plane that we are a part of, then we are left with the focus on our reactions to these mistakes. This allows us to learn our current physical plane experience without hate, fear, and regret. Our mistakes are part of being an incarnate human. Allow yourself and others to experience these actions that were created for this experience without the reaction, feeling of shame, disappointment, judgment, sorrow, and fear. Yes, the result can sometimes be suffering to a loved one. But remind yourselves that our so-called mistakes are a part of this physical plane experience and always will be, and that they are ultimately under control of the physical plane. We must accept this world for what it is. We all make mistakes. Some might be more intense than others, and some might take multiple tries for the desired reaction. but they can all be experienced with reaction thoughts of understanding. So when a so-called mistake ends with an outcome of perished incarnation, one must realize that while this outcome may seem to have been able to be avoided, ultimately, it is the physical plane as a whole that has chosen this outcome. Our physical actions are precise measurements of our current physical plane experience that are connected together as one whole. Our final outcome of this current incarnation is a final equation of a calculation that we have made in the beginning of our lives that we are not aware of until we are of full consciousness in spirit. In other words, we choose our ultimate fate with our reactions in the early stages of our lives. Ultimately, mistakes do not exist. We create our fate in the early stages of our lives, but there is no right or wrong way to live your life. We all incarnate here for the experience, and no matter what we do, we will create an experience of great importance while we're here. This physical plane is in control of action. We, while incarnate, are in control of our reactions in the moment. The physical plane is consciousness that we are a part of. Ultimately, we are in control of our fate. We just aren't aware of it in the moment, because we are only operating on a portion of our consciousness while incarnate. The precise measurements of our actions are a calculation that we are not able to comprehend while incarnate. This was intended during creation for this faultless experience. We perceive our lives to be in control in the moment. But in reality, we are living our lives as a result of our thoughts and feelings in the earlier stages of this incarnation. In other words, we feel our reactions in the moment, but our reactions act as a ripple effect for the rest of our lives. We may seem to be making decisions in the moment, but we are who we are. We have already made all the decisions that will be pointed in our direction. In other words, we don't know ourselves very well while incarnate until the moment persists. We are learning who we are with each decision presented while operating on just a portion of our consciousness. Life is the decisions that you make. Even though our decisions are already made, we don't realize it until we are in the moment. We create our whole physical lives in just the beginning of our incarnation. Now, all we must do is react to what we have created. So pay attention to your reactions as they are creating the rest of your physical plane experience. This portion of the episode, I will be allowing a spirit message in the form of spirit-controlled speech, delivered by one of my spirit guides. Please keep in mind that during any spirit-controlled speech, there is often interference picked up on the recording. And since it is spirit controlled, I cannot re-record. Yes, I'm getting used to it. Ah, yes. The big question. And I'm sure everyone is, well, wondering about. Fate. The big fate. Do you all have it? Does fate exist? What is fate? Well, fate can mean many different things. To spirit, fate means control. It's basically another word for control. So, is spirit in control of all of your lives? Yes. Spirit is controlling your lives, yes. But I've said that before. This is nothing new. So is your ultimate fate controlled by spirit? No. We leave that up to you. But you, in a sense, are tricking yourselves. Another way to put it would be you're not aware of the moment that you are making the decision of your ultimate fate. You create who you are in the early stages of your life. Yes, from the day you are born into your new incarnation. This is a brand new incarnation that has never existed before. You yourself, your soul, has obviously always existed. So you're creating something new, an incarnation, an embodied experience. So while you are creating the foundation of your life, you are not aware of it. Of course, as a baby and a young toddler and child, you're just trying to figure out what the heck you're doing. So how can you be creating the rest of your life when you haven't even figured out what you're doing there in the first place? Well, your new incarnation must be created. It's not just going to pop out of spirit with a already planned outcome. Well, that would be borderline pointless. Although you still would get experience. Because you wouldn't know that it is already decided for you. Aha! What am I getting at now? Again, I am not trying to confuse anyone, but that is a possibility, and I know most have thought of it. Thought of the question, well, if I'm not aware that my fate has been decided, my total fate, if I'm not aware of my life being decided already, then what's the difference? I'm still experiencing. I still get the experience in my life, whether I know I'm creating my own outcome or not. It's unknown, just like everything in your physical life experience. Everything is unknown. So what is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is you. You are the difference. This is not my life. This is not your spirit guide's life. It is your life. This physical plane experience was created to allow the incarnate to confuse themselves enough to create their life without knowing it. That is one of the reasons why this incarnation, this physical plane experience, is such a great one. It allows you to, in a sense, manipulate yourself. And again, I am trying not to confuse here, but you all are incarnate. And it's somewhat difficult not to confuse with the knowledge of your ultimate reality, because that is how it was created. And I hope some of you just got that, what I just did there. Some of you might take a little bit longer. But the point I'm trying to make here is you do create your own experience and your own fate. You're just not aware of it when you do it, because you do it in the early stages of your life, when you are creating who you are. You're creating who this new incarnation is. So not only are you trying to figure out the world and figure out yourself and figure out what everything is that's going on around you when you're at a young age, because it is a very confusing and fast-paced world that no one can catch on right away. It is absolutely impossible. And yes, you can thank creation again for that. Well done. I normally don't do this, but well done. This physical plane was created perfectly. It really, really is. And the more you learn about it and understand the fundamentals of this physical plane, the more you want to applaud. Sorry, I keep doing that. So, where was I? Not only are you trying to understand the world in front of you and around you, but at the very same time, simultaneously, you are creating who you are and what your life is going to be. And yes, you do create who you are for the rest of your life. But the very beginning, you're really creating the foundation of your physical plane personality. The way you think and the way you react to the world around you. Yes, of course, the world around you has a big play in it as well. The world around you molds you and helps create who you become, because it is the actions of the world that create your reactions. So once again, together we are all one. One we are together in this physical plane. And once again, this physical plane is one with you. We are all one. Everything is consciousness. Yes, the physical plane is consciousness. But you're still able to adjust your reactions. Because yes, you are a soul with your own perception of this mass consciousness. Once you create your way of reaction, it is this way of reaction that ultimately forms your fate in your physical plane destination. Let me try and put this another way. Certain actions of this physical plane will present to you certain aspects of thought. So once you create this certain aspect of thought, the way you react in general to the world around you, well, that sets a pattern in your life that's intertwined with the pattern of everyone else's lives. All of your physical movements are a precise measurement of your current physical life, your current physical plane experience. Yes, it is that technical. Every motion, movement, and thought is a precise measurement that is intertwined with the physical plane. All of these measurements react with each other. All of these measurements must fit precisely together with the rest of the physical plane. All of these measurements are intertwined. Now, these measurements can be read by spirit. Because yes, we are operating on our full consciousness. We can read these measurements that are intertwined. These measurements and calculations are already made. They intertwine to the rest of your life. even though the rest of your life has not been experienced yet. There's a difference between doing a calculation to understand what's going to be happening and seeing the future. It's always right now. You cannot go to the future and then come back and forth and back and forth. You can change your thought, but your physical body is in the moment. What spirit is able to do is do all the calculations. Your physical movement calculations. The precise measurements that must be taken to follow the path of your life. It may sound very complicated, but I assure you, to us spirits, it is not. These calculations are not very difficult for us to, calculate. But all of your movements are connected. Your thoughts are your movements. It all starts with thought. Who you are, who you become, is developed throughout your life. The very early stages are the foundation of your development. In other words, your childhood has a big say in who you become. And yes, most childhoods don't have a lot of control. You're kind of thrown into the world because you don't know what's going on. Your family and your school, they mold you a little. It's the actions that surround you as a child. They create, the foundation of who you become. That is not to say that your personality is not going to change throughout your life. We all know our personalities grow with age. We become wiser. And yes, I'm talking like I am incarnate again, because I have, and sometimes I do that. We become, with age, more knowledgeable of the world around. But our deep projection of who we have become in this physical world is based on our lives in the earlier stages. You're still able to adjust your reactions, but your base reactions are somewhat presumable. So, a lot of the times, people get confused on the direction that they take or the decisions that they make. Yes, this brings us to the next question. Decisions. Are the incarnate able to make decisions? Well, yes, the incarnate make decisions. But the decisions that you make have already been decided. In other words, we, spirits, know what decisions you're going to make before you do. That's right. We know the decisions that you're going to make before you do. You don't know the decisions that you're going to make until you make them. We know the decisions that you will be addressing before you do. We can see it coming. We do the calculations. We do the math. That's right. And once again, I'm trying not to confuse, but I'm doing my best to spread the knowledge of your fate, so to speak. So, decisions are made by you. You make the decisions. We just know what decisions you're going to make because we know you. We know you better than you know you. But now this shouldn't be too surprising. Some people, incarnate people, know what other people are going to do before they do. Some people know what decisions some people are going to make before they do. The best way for me to explain it, and I'm sure I've done this before, you are similar, the incarnate are similar to children to us. And I'm not trying to be a father figure here. I'm just using the best analogy that I can. And I know the parents that are listening can sometimes go, okay, well, I understand because sometimes I know what my children are going to decide on before they do. And I feel that I know my children better than they know themselves sometimes. So that's the best way for me to explain it. Remember, we're operating on our full consciousness. You are the ones that are essentially tricking yourselves when you incarnate and operating on the portion of your consciousness. But that's why you incarnate here. And that's what makes this place such a desired experience. It really is. So, once again, I'm trying not to confuse, but your decisions are already made before you make them. So, does this mean that you can't change your fate before or during your incarnation ending? In other words, can you change your outcome, your ultimate fate, once it's made? And does that mean that there has to be a single point of your life that makes this ultimate fate ending? Well, it would have to be at some single point. So one reaction of yours, or a reaction of others, or an action of the physical plane itself would have to create this single point of your fate to be started. So there had to be a starting point, an initial point to where your fate is made. It's a tough one. This is a tough one for me to explain. Yes, there is. There is a single point of action that makes your fate. But everyone's got one. And it's not that much different than the final part in your life. Everything has to have a single point. It's just a lot earlier than you perceive it to be. So the ending of your life, at least the reason for it, is not necessarily towards the final stages of your life. It is created by you and the physical plane in the early stages of your life. And that's the way it is. But you'll never know what that point is until you are back home in spirit, operating with your full consciousness. So, why am I telling everyone this? I'm telling everyone this because of love, for one. But what I'm trying to do is expand everyone's consciousness to their true and ultimate reality while incarnate. Because some are ready for it. And yes, the only ones that are ready are the ones that are listening. We make sure of it. We make sure that the ones that are ready are the ones that are listening to this. So yes, if you're listening to this, you are ready. And that's why I'm telling you. Because I want to expand your consciousness as much as it can be expanded while incarnate. It's what's needed to progress this physical plane in the direction that it needs. And this is nothing new. This is something that's been done over and over and over and over again. Yes, it is the circle of existence. So, I'm telling you this ultimately right now Because I don't want anyone to stress over their so-called mistakes. If you feel you have had made a mistake in something, even a mistake with the outcome of a tragedy, give yourself a break and give others a break. It could not have been avoided. Your outcomes are created in the early stages of your lives. That's the way this physical plane experience was created. So, understand that the mistakes, the so-called mistakes that you make, are actually not mistakes at all. They are a part of this physical plane experience. And they will always be a part of this physical plane experience. And no, by me telling you this will not change that. All it will change is the way you react to the world around you. So yes, it is your reactions that create the ripples for the rest of your life. So in a sense, by me telling you this, it could be changing. Aha. I'm sure there are some people out there thinking, well, then if he's changing our reactions by telling us this, then that could change our total outcome. I'm sorry, no. The things that you learn in the later stages of your life may seem to change your personality and the way that you think. I have to use the word seem. The reactions that you control now are reactions that change your feelings in the moment. They change. Well, that's pretty much it. They change your feelings, the way you feel. They don't necessarily change your incarnated being. What you have experienced and gone through in your early stages are what create who you become. Once you become who you are, well, you are who you are for the rest of your physical life. You're still able to change your reactions. And this changes the way you feel in the moment. But it will not change your personality and who you are. Your personality alters with age and experience, but your deep foundation of who you are once created in your physical life doesn't change. And I'm going to use this analogy. It might be a little off, but I think it might work for some. Your life is similar to a house. The foundation is created first. Then the house is built on top of it. And once the house is built, you're free to change the house as much as you want. You can change it. You can even add on to it. You can add multiple stories. You can even make it bigger. But the foundation is still there. The foundation is what's holding the house. It's what makes the house what it is. Without that foundation, the house wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be there. The house would not be there. The foundation allows the house to be adjusted. You can adjust the house however you want. You can remodel it, tear down walls. You get the point. If you were to change the foundation, you would have to tear the whole house down to change the foundation. Well, then it wouldn't be the same house. And again, this is not a perfect analogy. This is just close enough to what I'm trying to describe. Excuse me. So, you are the house. The foundation is the early stages of your incarnation. So I hope everyone understands this analogy a little bit better. Adjust the house however you want. But you can't change the foundation. It's still going to be the same foundation. I hope this one works. I know it's not the perfect analogy here, but I think it might work for some. And that works for me. So, back on track. Again, it comes back to focusing on your reaction and accepting that the world around you is in control. Even though you essentially were the one who created your fate, even though you weren't aware of it in the moment. It was you that created it. The way you reacted to the world around you in the early stages of your life. That is what created the foundation of your personality. The way that you perceive the world to be, the way you react to the world around you, you created it. And the way this works, this allows each incarnation, each individual to be different. If it was decided for you by a spirit, well then, it would be the spirit's fate and not yours. It's a perfect way of being. It works perfectly, just like everything else in this physical plane. this physical plane was created perfectly. Everything works as should. There were no mistakes, not even one. It's flawless. It may not seem to be while you are incarnate, but it is. So, fate. Yes. Every incarnate individual has their own fate. And yes, us spirits know what that fate is. But this does not mean that we, spirits, don't need to assist you either. We assist you. But we assist you in ways for your feelings in the moment. We guide you consciously. Because yes, ultimately, everything is consciousness. The world is consciousness. Your experience is consciousness. So ultimately, it doesn't even matter what happens physically. Because mainly, physically doesn't exist. Your consciousness exists. So, we assist you consciously in the moment. We're here to help you in your perception of your current reality so that you can feel better. Because ultimately, it is your feelings and your consciousness, your thoughts that create your feelings that matter. Nothing else matters except for your feelings. Because that is what and the only thing that exists. You and your feelings and your consciousness. That is it. So, does it even matter what your fate is? No, it doesn't. Is your fate right now? Is your life ending right now? No, it is not. So, it does not matter. What matters is how you feel right now. And that is what your spirit team, your spirit guides, assist you with. Because that is all that exists right now. So once again, our job here, my job, is to make all of you realize, remind you. Because remember, I am not teaching you anything. I'm reminding you of what you already know. I'm reminding you that it does not matter. What matters is how you feel right now. And yes, the way you feel right now changes. And yes, there is a series of changes that we can calculate. We know the series of changes that are going to happen. But these are just changes of your feelings and your consciousness. Nothing else. These changes are just measurements of your current feelings. We know how your feelings and your consciousness are going to change. We know the pattern. We know the measurements and the calculations of what your feelings are going to do. Because that's all this physical plane experience is. It's a measurement of your feelings changing in sequence. That's all it is. You have the power to change your feelings as well. But there are some feelings that you cannot change. That's what this experience is. This experience is a sequence of feelings that cannot be avoided. What you can do is control your feelings in between these sequences. You can control your reactions to these sequences of feelings. Because that's what this physical plane experience is. You do not know what the sequence is of these feelings that you are going to experience. We do. We've done the math. We know what they are. And they are all connected. The physical plane experience is a series of connected feelings. It's similar to a program. Everyone is going to experience these feelings along with their own perception while they're feeling these feelings. You can change and adjust your feelings that are in between these series of controlled feelings. And I wish there was an analogy for this one. Unfortunately, there is not. So I'm doing my best to explain it to everyone. Understand that the physical plane around you cannot be controlled. What you control is your reactions to it. And we, your spirit team and spirit guides, are here to assist you in the way that you feel in between each one of these controlled feelings, these series of events and actions. It's a sequence of feelings spaced out. They're spaced so tightly together. It seems to be one smooth action of feeling. When in reality, they are fractions, points of feelings, spaced apart, very, very, very close together. You react in between these series of feelings. You can change your own feelings in between these actions of events. And I know this is a lot to take in. It can be very confusing. But I'm doing my best to explain it to you all. Your reactions. You control your reactions. Controlling your reactions in between these controlled feelings of the physical plane is enough to give your soul some ease. But if you allow yourself to react to these sequence of feelings, if you react in a negative way where you yourself have a bad feeling in between, well, then you have a really bad time sometimes. Because not only are these controlled sequence feelings of the physical plane making you feel this way, but you yourself are also making you feel that way. And you combine those and you have a very difficult time. I am reminding you that you can control your feelings, even though you may not think you can sometimes. You can control your reactions. You can make your reactions of good feeling. Even though you get a series of bad feelings from the physical plane that you can't control, well, you can control your reactions in between these feelings. And not all sequence feelings of the physical plane are bad. Some are good. And in fact, a lot are good. Almost half. Yes, it has its way of balancing out. It may not seem that way, but it does. It balances out. We're just here, your spirit guides and spirit team, to assist you when you need us the most. So, to get back on track. Yes, of course, your fate is what it is. And you cannot change your fate now in your physical plane experience. What you can control is the way you feel now, which is the only thing that really exists anyway. Control how you react to the world around you. That will make your life more enjoyable. Control your reactions. Don't worry about your fate, because it is already decided by you in the early stages of your life. Accept that. Accept the world for what it is. Control your reactions to the world, for that is what matters the most. If something bad happens in life, control your reactions to it. Remind yourself that no matter what happens in this physical plane, you will be okay no matter what. Remind yourself this. That knowledge will assist you in a better reaction of thought. This concludes the spirit message for this episode. I hope everyone has experienced an expansion of consciousness. For me, I see fate as something I control, but not in the moment. I welcome my daily fate with open arms and accept that sometimes it can be harder than others. But since it is something that I don't control in the moment, I react the best way I can for an outcome of better understanding and knowledge. Thanks everyone for listening, and please don't hesitate to contact me for any reason. We all need each other to expand our consciousness. I love questions. They give me more subjects for discussion. I can be reached through my website, peripheralconsciousness.com, under contact. Thanks again, and I look forward to communicating with all of you in the near future.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your time. I know a lot of the things that I talk about can be quite confusing. That being said, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'd love to go over them with you and discuss any matters that you might have at hand. Thank you again, everyone. Please tune in next time for Peripheral Consciousness with Emily Johnson. Thank you.